etc. And relating to deep learning algorithms, neural networks, convolution neural networks, recurrent neural networks, fuzzy logic, genetic algorithm, etc. Next one is visualization of the data relating to Tableau, ClickView, Power BI, MSBI, etc. And all these, the project manager and the team leader taking a decision. 60% of the project is completed in on-site and 40% off-site. Off-site means in a Pocharam Development Center, and on-site means at client location in New York City, in Wall Street, that Bank of America Merrill Lynch corporate office headquarters. Like that, these decisions will be taken and information is passed to all the team members in that project work, and they should have the knowledge, the skills of what we discussed up to now, tools and technologies. And total 10 members project team is divided into each tool and technologies allocated to 2 members, 3 members, and they'll be getting expertise in that particular area, and they'll working on the project, and they'll successfully completing the project. That is a mechanism. In that scenario, this knowledge is implemented related into the particular tools and technologies of that software project completion. That only here illustrating in the diagram. Next one is a comprehensive example, that only data, information, knowledge, how it is implementing in the real-time scenario, what we just discussed up to now. Next one is intelligence. This is one more aspect of our subject content. Intelligence will be several types. General natural intelligence. Next one is artificial intelligence. Next one is a sixth sense, that is beyond the artificial intelligence. That also sometimes taken into consideration on philosophical grounds. Intelligence refers to the capacity to acquire and apply knowledge. An intelligent person, one who acts quickly and appropriately in a situation. The key attributes of an intelligent person are language proficiency, memory, learning, and these are the key characteristics. Language proficiency means, for example, a person is working in a semiconductor manufacturing programming language. The programming language is CMOC LASIK, not like our Python, C, C++, Java programming languages. It requires high performing computing knowledge, supercomputing knowledge, cloud computing knowledge, quantum computing knowledge, quantum cloud computing knowledge. Means a very higher end skills, knowledge, intellectual capabilities required to write that coding language in that programming language. Memory means, to be frank and honest, a computer chip is having less memory than human brain. So many times human brain only will have the memory, to be frank and honest. And learning, to be frank and honest, we will give the indication to the machine or a chip to work in a computer, but human can learn by self-learning process. Related to that, a human being brain with the combination of millions of neurons is treated as one of the intelligent machine which is in the live environment. Related to that only, a few persons will have sixth sense. They can predict and tell what is happening in the future. That is their mechanism of their neuron nervous system in the brain. If it is take artificial intelligence, for a machine will train and the machine will work. For example, robots. These all depends upon works on artificial intelligence. For natural intelligence is with respect to human beings. Those human beings who are having extraordinary intelligence, they will have that sixth sense capability. Now, next one is experience. Experience relates to what we have done and what has historically happened in a specific area of work. Experience relates to doing. For example, a fresher to a job gains experience by undergoing a training program or working as an intern or understudy under a senior employee. Means work experience. To be frank and honest, freshers will have less skills and knowledge compared to experienced people. That is the philosophy or the basic ethics relating to the knowledge implementation also. That only we are discussing. Common sense. Sixth sense, basic thing is common sense. What is this common sense? Common sense is the innate ability to sense, judge, or perceive situations. It comes naturally in course of a person's life. We see a child as young as 3 or 4 years old beginning to exhibit some common sense. It grows stronger over time. The sources of common sense are observation, listening, and reading. The following are few examples of common sense. Means this is relating to basic morals, ethics, values, how to mingle, how to behave in the society, that is relating to common sense. Next one is characteristics of knowledge. Knowledge has its own characteristics. Some of them are non-depleting, chunkable, transferable, substitutable, win-win, sharing. Knowledge is owned. Knowledge involves beliefs. Knowledge is social in nature. Knowledge is innovative. They're all some of the characteristics. It is a layman language. Everybody can understand the basics of knowledge. And it is a very general topic also. Everybody knows it. Just we are revising it. But in very professional environment. Next one is based on level of understanding a phenomena. In this, we are having some levels, shallow level, deep level. And in that one, different types are there. For shallow level, procedural, declarative, and deep level, semantic and episodic. And what this procedural knowledge type consisting of means knowledge of how to do a task that is essentially motor in nature, and the same knowledge is used over and over again. And coming to declarative type, surface type information that is available in short-term memory and easily verbalized. Coming to semantic, hierarchically organized knowledge of concepts, facts, and relationships among facts. It is highly organized, means well systematized, the semantic type, and chunked knowledge that resides in long-term memory. Finally, episodic type is knowledge that is organized by temporal spatial means. This temporal spacious means related to some neuron-based environment. This knowledge is highly compelled and autobiographical and is not easy to extract or capture. Means very secured knowledge system is episodic. And next one is knowledge types based on form and place. These are terms, form, place, content, sharing, application, and tactics, and explicit description is given. Terms, that is knowing how, embodied knowledge, and related form, it is characteristics of the expert who makes judgment or decision without explicitly going through a set of rules. Means in decision making, this aspect will be more useful. Coming to next aspect, that is place. It is embodied in the human mind through experience and jobs. Next aspect is content. It is subject to, means how that content is good or how that content is worthwhile. Just we talk in general. That is relating to knowledge perspective. And cognitive and experiential learning. It is highly personal and difficult to formalize. And next one is sharing. And that is because it is a knowledge learned directly from experience, tactic knowledge, and hence called sticky knowledge. Finally, application, that is individual applying, it has no conscious experience of what it is that is causing his or her activity. And coming to explicit environment, in terms knowing that theoretical knowledge in the form aspect, it is in a codified form like binary coding, etc., and secured by a process of learning. And place, it is found in documents, reports, white papers, spreadsheets, memos, training courses, etc. Related to content, it is codified in a form that can be distributed to others. It comprises the policies, procedures, white papers, reports, designs, products, strategies, goals, mission, and core competencies of the enterprise and the information technology infrastructure. Next to sharing, it can be retrieved and transmitted more easily. That a tactic knowledge, hence called leaky knowledge. We can leak the knowledge or that information easily. Next, finally, application. An individual consciously articulates available knowledge using explicit instruction, rules, principles, or procedures. Means rules and regulations, principle, procedure will be related to this application environment. And the next concept is concept of knowledge management. Very important. We are having emergent environment of knowledge, but how to manage that in decision making, that plays a crucial role to solve real world problems in day-to-day environment. Organizations are realizing how important it is to know what they know and be able to make maximum usage of the knowledge. Success in an increasingly competitive marketplace depends critically on the quality of knowledge which organization applies to their key business processes. In view of this, knowledge has become an asset. That is very, very important. Knowledge is asset. related to that only just now we discussed. Knowledge is powerful, means it's a very powerful asset, more than the money. A knowledgeable person can survive anywhere in the universe. That is the thing. For example, a rich man is there. The person is having billions of money, but in one critical situation, he has to travel emergency to foreign country. He don't know how to drive or how to make that airplane or that helicopter. He has to depend on pilot who is a knowledgeable and skilled person. That is the value of knowledge. If the person is very rich, having billions of money, but very not usable and wastage of that money at that important time. A person is very rich person, but not having proper health. He don't know how to use the medication. He has to depend upon doctor. That is the importance of a knowledgeable and skilled person, doctor, like that. Next point is knowledge management is not only about managing these knowledge assets, but also managing the processes that act upon the assets. These processes include acts like acquiring, creating, storing, sharing, using, and protecting the knowledge. Different aspects and different phases of knowledge. And relating to that, the explicit and systematic management of vital knowledge and its associated processes of creating, gathering, organizing, diffusion, and use of exploitation in pursuit of organizational objectives. A different view is taken by other writers. It emphasizes the strategic significance of knowledge management. For instance, based on this perspective, improving the ways in which the firms facing highly turbulent environments can mobilize their knowledge base in order to ensure continuous innovation. Means for continuous innovation purpose, this knowledge acts like a pillar basement. The effective design and implementation of processes associated with exploration, exploitation, and sharing of human knowledge that use appropriate technology and cultural environments to enhance an organization's intellectual capital and performance. Means relating to patent submission, patent filing, this intellectual property. Those who are very intellectual relating to knowledge perspective, they can make new innovations using this knowledge management, and they can get a royalty, name, fame, and huge money in the form of royalty. Not only that, with respect to the National Intellectual Property Organization, relating to local perspective and global perspective, World Intellectual Property Organization, they can submit that patent rights and they throughout their life process, they can get the royalty. That is only possible with the proper management of a knowledge using knowledge management mechanism. Knowledge management is recognized as the key driver of new knowledge and new ideas. It contributes to excellence in organizational practices. Relating to that, it provides easy access to knowledge. Knowledge management makes it easier to locate the sources of knowledge required, improves decision making. Always remember, and in our total business management subjects, what purpose, what is the basic goal, objective we are studying these subjects means to make correct decision making to solve real world problems in the business environment and business domain. Correct person with correct decision making at the right environment gives fruitful results relating to solving of that particular real world problem. Next point is facilitates innovation and cultural change. Knowledge management promotes innovation and cultural change. To be frank and honest, from historical perspective, if you take into considerations, scientists, mathematicians are more from Indian origin only. They got global reputation, and related to cultural aspect, Indian culture, morals, ethics are stronger than any other country in 236 countries in the world. To be frank and honest, our family based that culture system are more having bondage and having great reputation in the global perspective, and it is very strong enough relating to cultural aspect. And not only that, our basic thing is unity in diversity. We are having so many languages, so many states, so many religions, but our bondage system relating to cultural aspect is very strong and very moral ethical in global perspective compared to any other country in the world. Increases customer satisfaction, facilitates organizational learning, improves performance, raises intellectual capital. Means these are all the basic characteristics relating to knowledge management, which have the prominence in a local as well as global perspective in implementation area. Next one is evolution of knowledge management. It is people-based knowledge transfer, early ideas on World Wide Web, that on internet, in social media, information age to knowledge age, and historical developments in knowledge age from 1960 to 2023. How it is growing relating to knowledge management perspective in local perspective and global perspective, that in this chart they have given. In 1960s, relating knowledge work and knowledge workers. 1980s, relating to some advantage of using this knowledge mechanism. 1986, knowledge management concept introduced in United Nations organization. 1989, so many consulting firms started their establishment. 1991, articles written in several journals. 1993, published so many books on knowledge management. 94, network established using conferences. 95, so many consulting firms started giving services. 2000 onwards, so many consortium of management professionals in international level established. Till 2023, current environment also, this knowledge management in this globalized environment of business module, it acts as a very crucial role relating to intellectual property implementation in A to Z domains of business environment, whether it is fintech, or whether it is IT, whether it is automobile, whether it is education, whether it is tourism, hospitality, medicine, engineering, whatever it may be the domain area or functional area. Next one is 3 generations of knowledge management. First generation, second generation, and third generation. First generation relates to if only we know what we know. And growth in second generation is relating to if only we knew who knows about. And coming to third generation, taxonomy before technology. Like our mobile phone SIM card. 2G we started. Now we are sailing in a 5G mobile, like that. SIM card, same relating to knowledge management also. Scope of knowledge management. Knowledge management refers to a deliberate and consistent effort to improve the utilization, transfer, and creation of knowledge in organizations. Means as fields of academic inquiry, knowledge management is a multidisciplinary field as people and culture, technology and process. People and culture relates to behavioral sciences like anthropology, sociology, and psychology. These are all based upon behavioral sciences or people and culture related. Coming to technology and processes, information technology and management science. With respect to the management studies or management science, just now we discussed, we take proper decision making in process implementation relating to technical or technology based environment also. That is the greatness of business management or management science subject. It makes useful for taking proper decision making in a business environment. Next one is strategy focus, valuation focus, system focus, process focus, and technology focus. These are all scope of knowledge management related to various aspects. Strategy, we can implement several strategies while taking decision making. Valuation, in metrics it can be considered. System means a hierarchical system, in very linear system, in very systemized environment, this can be implemented. Process means a very cyclical process or interlinked process, network process, it can be implemented. Technology focus, day-to-day upgradation in the technology can be consideration in taking that proper decision making using knowledge management. Current practices of knowledge management. General Electric has a corporate excellence council. Microsoft Corporation, Ernst & Young, Wipro Technologies, Polaris. Not only these companies, and if you take Hyderabad itself, 20 years back, we can count the software companies. Now, in Hyderabad itself, more than 2,000 software companies are there, which are having global presence. In that one, top 10 world's top 10 five companies are having operations in Hyderabad. They are having research and development centers. Like if you take Microsoft Corporation, Amazon, Apple, Google, they're all having their offices in Hyderabad, in Gachibowli, high tech city. Means they are making contribution to the society. They are getting name and fame. Not only that, the human life process is making day by day very simplified, very flexible with this usage of technology and knowledge innovation and knowledge management practices to solve real world problems in the day-to-day environment. Future trends of knowledge management. Tomorrow's marketplace will be characterized by fierce competition, expanding global markets, informed customers, and continuous technological innovations. Organizations need to harness its knowledge not just to stay portable, but also to become innovative. The following developments will transform knowledge management function in organizations. That is related to workflow learning, social networks, collaboration, information filtering, knowledge-based relationships, knowledge artificial intelligence, validating information security. This artificial intelligence and social networks. Coming to social networks, using social media, WhatsApp, LinkedIn, or Twitter, Facebook, just throughout the globe within 1 by 10 to the power of 9th part of a second, we can communicate and we can establish our communication process. In that system, we are sailing, and in the coming future, it will be more times faster than how we are communicating now. That possibility will be there. And the second one is implementation of artificial intelligence. In coming years, driverless cars and this 5G spectrum implementation and so much speed bandwidth of internet, we can have so many futures in that 5G implementation, virtual reality, augmented reality. Not only that, sitting here, we can do our works in US of our relatives' house like that. And not only that, implementation of robotics that minimizes the involvement of human resources, and so much of multiple tasks can be done with that robots with the usage of artificial intelligence. Like this, in coming generations, it will become very wide throughout the global, will become one village. And how in one village we can communicate like that, totally globally we can communicate, not only globally, universally in coming generations. Sitting here, what is happening on moon, what is happening on Mars, we can get the information, we can have the communication in coming generations. Like that, science and technology is moving towards universe and other planets, etc. That is the future trends relating to knowledge management, perspective and implementation. Next concept is knowledge management cycle and models. What is this knowledge management cycle? In this one, we are having components of knowledge management cycle, models of knowledge management cycle, Wing knowledge management cycle, Mayer and Jack knowledge management cycle, and Milrow knowledge management cycle, Bukovitz and Williams knowledge management cycle, and integrated knowledge management cycle. This chapter is very, very important for long answer question in the examination and semester and examination. And not only that, one question is mandatory. It is totally subject based unit. Very, very important for examination point of view. And in this one, our own words or generalization will not be possible. Totally professionally relating to those social scientists, what they explained, that we have to write it. And it is totally professional based subject content in this unit particularly. Coming to other units, what we discussed up to now. Knowledge management cycle explains how knowledge is captured, processed, and distributed in organization. And the knowledge management cycle encompasses the capture, creation, codification, sharing, accessing, application, and reuse of knowledge within and between organizations. There are 4 major approaches for models of knowledge management cycle. They are, just now we discussed, Merrier, Jack, and Williams, and Mac, Elrow, and Wing. And these models are very prominent because of the following merits, advantages. What those are? They are implemented and validated in real world settings. Means to solve the real world problems, these are utilized. They are comprehensive with respect to the different processes in knowledge management. Means a wide scope will be there in implementation area. using these methods or models. They include detailed descriptions of the knowledge management process involved in each step. In depth, in detail, we can take into consideration. They remove ambiguity about how to think about managing organizational knowledge, introduces order to the management of organizational knowledge, and makes the management of knowledge systematic. Means it is very systemized and very hierarchical in explanation orientation. And what are the benefits of this knowledge management cycle? Growth, innovation, teamwork, decision making, economics. Particularly out of all this, decision making plays a major role to solve the real world problems with the uses of this knowledge management cycle. And what are the different components of knowledge management cycle? Those are discovering knowledge, generating knowledge, evaluating knowledge, sharing the knowledge, and leveraging the knowledge. Total 5 phases are there, or 5 components are there. These are the things which are explained in this diagram hierarchically. Discovering knowledge, generating knowledge, evaluating knowledge, sharing the knowledge, leveraging the knowledge, total in a cyclical process. And the next one is models of knowledge management cycle. First one is weak knowledge management cycle. Wig was among the first to address the need for a coherent and practical framework of knowledge management, which he attempted to create by identifying a set of organizational knowledge practicing and processing phases, and which was based on the principle that knowledge must be organized to be useful and valuable. Whatever the content explained by this wig is having the outcome relating to usefulness and valuableness relating to that knowledge management cycle implementation. And next one is Jack, focus more on the architecture of information products. They have included information calculated both internally and externally in electronic or printed form. Means this Jack explained more on architecture of knowledge management cycle. Coming to Mark, in his model, which consisting of 2 broad phases, knowledge production and knowledge integration, and a knowledge production includes 4 processes such as individual and group learning, knowledge claim formulation, information acquisition, and knowledge validation. Knowledge integration processes deals with the transformation and integration of the produced or acquired knowledge. Means Mark contribution is towards transformation and integration of that particular knowledge through his model. And also he suggested complex adaptive systems theory, which holds that people self-organize and continuously fit themselves individually and collectively to ever-changing conditions in their environment. The model starts with a phase called knowledge claim, which immediately requires a validation action, the knowledge claim evaluation. And coming to Williams, adopted the guiding principle of garbage in, garbage out, quality over quality. They indicated that their model is the learn phase, in which individuals learn from their experiences and organizations create an organizational memory. Their cycle is divided into 2 dimensions, tactical and strategic. And next one is Dalkir developed the integrated knowledge management model, which linked process and strategy while offering specific initiatives at different stages. The model also outlined the relationship of information management systems to knowledge management. Means this Dalkir model illustrates that it makes integration of information management systems to knowledge management system. And in depth, we are going to discuss one by one. Weak knowledge management cycle. According to this, the weak model is highly favored in focusing on the 3 conditions that need to be presented for an organization to run its business successfully. And what are these 3 dimensions? It must have a business and customers. It must have resources, and it must have ability to act. Means it should contain business and customers. Along with that, it should contain the basic resources, primary resources. And not only that, just having the resources will not be sufficient. They should have that ability to act. Means implementation is mandatory. And the charter illustrates building knowledge, holding knowledge, pooling knowledge, and using knowledge in hierarchical steps of this big knowledge management cycle model. This cycle can be presented in linearly, but some activities within these stages can be performed simultaneously or in reverse. The cycle focuses on identifying and relating the functions and activities that we engage in to make products and services as knowledge workers. Building knowledge, holding knowledge, pooling knowledge, using knowledge, they're all implemented in a step-by-step manner in linear, in hierarchical phenomena or hierarchical manner. A major advantage of WIG approach to the knowledge management cycle is the clear and detailed description of how organizational memory is put into use in order to generate value for individuals, groups, and the organization itself. Means, according to his model, WIG's approach, the total value system, value addition is created using this knowledge management cycle. That is the output from WIG's knowledge management cycle. What is the output? Means value addition, value creation can be done using through WIG's knowledge management cycle implementation. The ways in which knowledge can be applied and used are linked to decision-making sequences and individual characteristics. Means those who are involved in the business environment, those who are taking the stakeholders decision-making using this WIG's knowledge management cycle, ultimately they'll get a result as a value addition to their particular organization or their institution or that particular project work using this WIG's knowledge management cycle implementation. Coming to second one, Mayer knowledge management cycle. This Mayer is one of the most complete description of the key elements involved in the knowledge management model, and its strength derives primarily from its comprehensive information processing paradigm. In this cycle, the major developmental stages of knowledge management repository are analyzed. The stages are acquisition, refinement, storage, distribution, and presentation. This cycle is also known as the refinery given the below chart. And acquisition, refinement, and storage or retrieval, distribution, and presentation. They are all in hierarchical way implementation in a Mayer's knowledge management cycle, and ultimately it acts like a refinery system, means filtering system with the particular problem solving mechanism using the knowledge management cycle or process. And next one is a McClary knowledge management cycle. According to it, it describes a knowledge life cycle that consisting of the processes of knowledge production and knowledge integration, with a series of feedback loops to organizational memory, beliefs, and claims, and the business processing environment. The high-level processes are shown in the diagram and related to that knowledge processing environment, knowledge production, organizational knowledge, knowledge integration, distributed organizational knowledge base, and business processing environment. One is linked with the other, and ultimately these different phases, knowledge production, organizational knowledge, knowledge use and loops, claims, knowledge integration, will be giving strength to that particular organization or institution by using this model implementation. It is a clear description of how knowledge is evaluated, and a conscious decision is made as to whether or not it will be integrated into the organizational memory. The validation of knowledge is a step that clearly distinguishes knowledge management from document management. The knowledge management cycle does more than address the storage and subsequent management of documents or knowledge that has been warehoused. The knowledge management cycle focuses or process to identify knowledge content that is of value to the organization and its employees. And next method is Williams knowledge management cycle. It describes a knowledge management process framework that outlines how organizations generate and maintain and deploy a strategically correct stock of knowledge to create value. Means it is also make some value addition, value creation to that particular organization or institution or that entity or that particular system who are implementing by using this Williams knowledge management cycle process. And knowledge get stage, use stage, learn stage, contribute stage, assess stage, build and sustain, divest. They're all implementing in a systematical way. Ultimately, output is a value addition to that particular entity or organization. And next one is integrated knowledge management cycle. and it is based on the previous major approaches to knowledge management cycles. An integrated knowledge management cycle was given with the three major stages. Those are knowledge capture or creation, knowledge sharing and dissemination, knowledge acquisition and application. In the transition from knowledge capture to knowledge sharing and dissemination, knowledge cannot be assessed. Knowledge is then contextualized in order to be understood. The stage then feeds back into the first one in order to update the knowledge content. The integrated knowledge management cycle is given in this chart, and which capture refers to the identification and subsequent codification of existing internal knowledge and how and know within the organization and external knowledge from the environment. Knowledge creation is the development of new knowledge and know-how innovations that did not have a previous existence within the company. When knowledge is interwoven in this manner, the next critical step is to present an assessment against the selection criteria that will follow closely the organizational goals. Means ultimately by implementing the proper decision making with this integrated knowledge management cycle, we will be reaching the organizational goals and organizational objectives which are made with vision mission in the real time scenario. Once the new or newly identified content is of sufficient value, the next step is to contextualize this content. This involves maintaining a link between the knowledge and those knowledgeable about that content, the originator of the idea and subject matter experts, as well as those who have gotten significant experience in making use of this content. Contextualization also implies identifying the key attributes of the element in order to better match to a variety of users. Means personalization to translate the content into one preferred by the end user or creation of a short executive summary to better accommodate the time constraints of a senior manager. Means finally, conceptualization will often succeed when the new content is formally yet seamlessly embedded in this business process of the organization. Means the integrated cycle subsumes most of the steps involved in knowledge management cycles. So with the knowledge management cycle is then reiterated as users understand and decide to make use of content. The users will validate usefulness and they will signal when it becomes out of date or when this knowledge is not applicable. Users will help validate the scope of the content or how generalizable the best practices and lessons learned can be. They will also quite often come up with new content which they can then contribute to the next cycle iteration. Means in finally we can conclude that related to knowledge management cycles, the critical processes throughout the knowledge management cycle assesses the worth of content based on organizational goals, contextualized content in order to better match with a variety of users and continuously update with a focus on updating, archiving as required and modifying the scope of each knowledge object. Now, next concept relating to our subject is strategic dimensions of knowledge management. Means how strategically if we implement to get the accurate results and more accurate results in the real-time scenario. And in this context, we are having the subject contents, knowledge as competitive edge, strategic visioning, knowledge transfer versus integration, real options under uncertainty, responsiveness, quadrahedron, business models and executability, codification versus personalization, knowledge maps to link knowledge to strategy. Now, how strategic way of implementation is mandatorily required for implementation of knowledge management. That is a basic criteria we are going to discuss in this chapter. Knowledge is essential to companies for improving operations and generating profits. To give long-term advantage for success, knowledge management of organizations has to be strategy-oriented. The link between strategy and knowledge is the key success factor in a competitive market. However, the value of the link is known. It is often ignored in practice. Few of the organizations, companies, they know strategy, but they will utterly failure in implementation of that Strategy with correct decision making in a right environment. Knowledge as a competitive edge. Knowledge management can help companies not just compete with firms and conditions in an industry, but to create fundamentally new and superior value that makes competitors irrelevant. Means in this competitive business environment, locally, globally, those who are taking that strategic way of implementation, they can sustain in this very competitive business environment. Related to that, the Drucker says knowledge management provides the company the window to see opportunity coming to act upon it by applying knowledge that is otherwise ideal. The companies which are considered as having high market value are the companies with high levels of intellectual capital, which is an intangible asset. Knowledge has been the primary source of competitive advantages for leading companies. The advantage can be lasting for or temporary. Means Cook's secret formula has given Coca-Cola company lead position in the Coca-Cola market. It has a competitive advantage since its inception 1892. Citibank got a temporary competitive advantage when it is first introduced the automated teller machine. Like this Microsoft Hotmail service popularized email system. They are all case studies relating to this strategic way of implementation that knowledge management in real-time scenario. Next one is strategic visioning. A strategic vision is a description of an organization's preferred future state. It is a blueprint for the organization's future and a recognition of the values, purpose, and mission that will guide the organization towards the intended results. Strategic visioning enables organizations and groups to agree on compelling goals, breakthrough strategies, and aligned action. Companies can spend a great deal of time and energy planning the way forward. However, without buy-in and understanding of the vision of employees and management, success is difficult to achieve. Strategic visioning can be done by following steps: history, context maps, SWOT analysis, means strength, weaknesses, and opportunities and threats. Cover story vision, 5 strategic goals, graphic game plan. There are all different ways of implementation of strategic visioning in real-time scenario. Next topic is knowledge transfer versus integration. How this knowledge can be transferred from one entity to another entity, or how this knowledge can be integrated with one or more entities. In organizations, knowledge resides in organizational members, tools, tasks, and their sub-networks. Much of the knowledge an organization have is tactic or harder to articulate in direct communication. Knowledge transfer is a process by which knowledge, ideas, means articulate with direct communication. Knowledge transfer is the process by which knowledge, ideas, and experience move from the source of knowledge to the recipient of that knowledge. Knowledge transfer and knowledge sharing are used interchangeably in many literatures. To facilitate smooth and objective knowledge transfer, companies focus on learning, means continuous learning mechanism. Learning and training. Learn, train. Those are the fundamental things relating to knowledge transfer. Means up-to-date new versions will come. If you take IT industry, that we have to learn and we have to train and we have to implement. That is a phenomenon. Organizational learning is the most important activity for business managers. Learning is nothing but transfer of knowledge. For example, an individual teaching a colleague how to solve a specific problem. Knowledge transfer has the following assumptions. The two transacting individuals possesses certain shared knowledge in order to effectively communicate. Sufficient time is available to engage in such a transfer. Knowledge that is transferred remains valid by the time a transfer is completed. Knowledge integration refers to a process of merging two or more originally unrelated knowledge structures into a single structure. It can encompass the complexities of how two digital databases can be merged together or how two companies can effectively combine the knowledge of their workers. A strategy that emphasizes knowledge integration promotes synthesis of individually held knowledge as the project or task level while keeping cross-member learning down to some bare minimum level. New knowledge, after all, is a consequence of the meeting, collaboration, and interaction of minds. Means this knowledge transfer with knowledge integration refers to a general strategy of facilitating learning and exchange, whereas knowledge integration stresses the rapid application of existing but disconnected knowledge. The level of uncertainty needed, variety, speed of response, the nature of turbulence in the business context can help determine which of these approaches best suits the company's knowledge management initiative. Knowledge assets are of little value if they cannot be mobilized rapidly. A common trap that knowledge management initiatives fall into that of adopting a knowledge transfer strategy when a knowledge integration approach is really needed. Careful analysis at this stage can ensure that a business does not turn into another case of a firm that had all the necessary expertise but simply could not apply it fast enough to respond when needed. Means real options under uncertainty. Level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. These are all the different levels in the real-time scenario leading to uncertainty. Level 1, predictable outcome. Level 2, discrete positions with several possibilities. Level 3, range of outcomes. Level 4, absolute unpredictability related to the particular content. They're all relating to uncertainty of 4 levels. And next one is responsiveness quadrahedron. For successfully competing in the business, there are a variety of responses that business has to deliver and the speed with which those responses must be delivered. Based on these considerations, projects, business units, or entire businesses can be classified into one of the 4 quadrants. Means these are the matrix, 4 quadrants is distributed. Goals are 4. Those are structural flexibility and knowledge transfer, cross-functional integration, functional sharing, operational flexibility. Means quadrant 1, high levels of variety. Quadrant 2, both varieties and responsiveness. Quadrant 3, high responsive requirements. And similarly relating to quadrant 4, it is a integration of both responsiveness and variety, which is low. Next one is business models and executability. It is also a matrix environment with 4 quadrants. A business model can be thought of as a clearly articulated plan for adding economic value by applying knowledge to a set of resources to create a marketable product or service offering. Not all businesses use stable technologies for executing one stable business models. One or the other, or even both, can be new. Means skills acquisition, domain knowledge, codification, new domain knowledge. They are all the 4 quadrants in a matrix environment, which is in the square matrix based content. Considering where a business falls on this grid can guide managers about the feasibility of knowledge transfer or integration approaches to knowledge management. Businesses operating under existing business models use operational strategies, whereas those under new business models use transformational ones. Strategies are operational if companies face relatively low uncertainty and are focusing on playing an old game better than their competitors. Transformational strategies, on the other hand, require a company to give diligent decisions about investments, new ventures, collaborations, and market-related technology choices. Means these are all will be taken as a diligent decision making, particularly related to investments, new ventures, means new collaborations, and technology-related strategies implementation. Experimentation and iteration are imperative when facing transformational change. Unlike the highly linear operational strategies, transformational strategies are based on real options. Therefore, finally, we can conclude that the ability of an organization to execute the strategy is more important than strategy formulation. Just we formulate the strategy, that will not be sufficient. Implementation in the real-time scenario is mandatorily required. And next topic is codification versus personalization. In this one, we are having several business strategic questions related to codification and personalization. Related to codification, providing high quality services and price-based competition, very low profit margins. Relating to personalization, producing creative and providing rigorous service, and a problem can be solved, expertise-based pricing, and very high profit margins. Like this, several questions are formulated relating to both codification and personalizations. And some of the questions are for codification, IT is primary enabler, employers are rewarded, and employees refer economies of scale, larger teams can be implemented, and examples are Pizza Hut and some consulting companies like Delphi, technique implementation. Next one is relating to personalization, storage and retrieval of data, employees are rewarded and knowledge is transferred, economists rest in the environment, junior employees will take part in team environment. Example is Boston Consulting Group, and example of a product is a customer car or bicycle. Means